Hello there, welcome to the latest installment of our Rule of the Week for Hockey Eastern Ontario. This week, we're going to be talking about head contact. So last week, we kicked off our series by talking about checking from behind. We did that because it's a very serious penalty with some very serious repercussions for players that get injured. Head contact is equally a serious penalty that can have serious consequences for players that are hit in the head, as we know a lot more these days about the nature of head injuries. So for today, we're going to talk a little bit about what the rule is, define it in terms of how it looks in the Hockey Canada rulebook, as well as provide a couple of examples of head contact penalties. All right, let's get started with the rule. So in the Hockey Canada rulebook, 6.5 is for head contact. So 6.5a, in minor and female hockey, a minor penalty shall be assessed to any player who accidentally contacts an opponent in the head, face, or neck with their stick or any part of the player's body or equipment. So for a minor penalty in minor hockey to be called for head contact, we're really talking about accidental or incidental contact. This typically will occur when a player hits or body checks another player and they hit them, say, shoulder on shoulder or arm on arm, and then their arm accidentally comes up and hits someone in the head. That's considered incidental contact, and a minor penalty can be called. Alternatively, if a player accidentally were to raise their stick and hit another player in the head, that could be considered accidental contact. And that's what the 2-minute minor penalty is designed for the head contact penalty. 6.5b says, in minor and female hockey, a double minor penalty or a major and a game misconduct penalty at the discretion of the referee and based on the degree of violence of impact shall be assessed to any player who intentionally contacts an opponent in the head, face, or neck with their stick or any part of the player's body or equipment. So a double minor penalty is called in this case when the contact is a direct hit to the head and the contact is considered intentional or more or less not accidental. So in this case, a double minor, 4 minutes, or a major penalty in a game misconduct can be called. As with the checking from behind rule from last week, if there's injury on the play, regardless of the nature of the impact, a 5-minute major and a game misconduct penalty have to be called. In terms of the difference between a double minor and a major in a game misconduct for checking to the head, basically what we're looking at is the degree of violence of the impact and whether or not, of course, injury occurs. 6.5c, in minor and female hockey, any player incurring 3 head contact penalties that do not meet the criteria of a major in a game misconduct or a match penalty shall be assessed a game ejection penalty. So typically the game ejections only apply for 3 stick infractions. But with the case of head contact, if you incur 3 head contact penalties, that would also suffice to earn a game ejection penalty for the player. 6.5d, in junior and senior hockey only, a minor and a misconduct penalty or a major and a game misconduct penalty at the discretion of the referee, based on the degree of violence of impact, shall be assessed to any player who checks an opponent in the head in any manner. And 6.5e, a major and a game misconduct penalty shall be assessed to any player who injures an opponent under this rule, as I've mentioned earlier. 6.5f, any player who strikes an opponent above the normal height of their shoulders with a cross check shall incur a major penalty and a game misconduct penalty, whether or not injury results. So essentially, if you cross-check a player above the height of the shoulders, basically you cross-check a player in the head, it's an automatic 5 in a game, no matter what the result is, whether injury results or doesn't result. And finally, a match penalty shall be assessed to any player who deliberately attempts to injure or deliberately injures an opponent under this rule. All contact above the shoulders, neck, face, and head is to be called head contact under one of the above in minor and female hockey. So the basic rule of thumb here is that for a match penalty, it's a deliberate attempt to injure. So I'm going to show you an example of what a match penalty looks like for checking to the head. So in this video here, we're going to see number 67 White come in and hit a player in the head. You have a couple of angles on this, so you can see the direct impact to the head. You can see the player's head snap back on this one. As I recall, there was an injury on this play. In this case, a match penalty would be assessed. So we're going to watch one more time. And what's interesting here is note the 2 different angles. It may not be as clear from this angle, which is probably where the referee is standing. that there's some contact, but whether or not it occurs from in the head. But right here, it's obvious that this contact is to the head as the player's head snaps back and the player's feet, the offending player's feet come off the ice when he lays the hit. So this is a clear example of a match penalty for checking to the head. The offending player on white, clearly targets the head of the opposing player, and when he hits him in the head, you can see the head of the other player snap back. This is a very dangerous play and needs to be penalized as such. So a match penalty would be assessed in this case. Second video. So in this video, we're going to see a cross check in the front of the net by a player of the defending team. And you're going to watch his stick. You're going to watch the cross check right here. And the cross check occurs over the height of the shoulders. The player who was hit is injured on this play. So the player clearly targets the other player's head. He cross checks him above the height of the shoulders, which means it's going to be an automatic 5 in a game for a game misconduct at the very least. But in this case, again, as the player clearly targeted that player's head and the argument was made that there was a deliberate attempt to injure, a match penalty would be assessed. The player was also injured on this play. So these are very dangerous plays. Obviously, we know a lot more about head injuries than we have in the past, so these penalties must be avoided at all costs. The penalties for checking from behind in minor hockey are a 2-minute minor for checking to the head, a 4-minute double minor for checking to the head, a 5 in a game misconduct for checking to the head, and a match penalty for checking to the head. In junior and senior hockey, you can get a 2-minute and a 10-minute misconduct for checking to the head. You can get a 5 in a game for checking to the head, or you can get a match penalty for checking to the head. So that's a little bit of information about head contact penalties. I hope this video has been useful for you. As always, feel free if you have any questions about these penalties to talk to your association referee-in-chief, your district referee-in-chief, or you can always email us here at the email address below. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you again next week.